Hey guys, welcome back. Joe again here from Third World Aquatics, and it's been a minute, but we're back. We've got a lot going on here these last couple of weeks. But in this video, we're going to jump back on the 12-foot long stand, which is going to hold the 540-gallon aquarium. So if you're new to the channel, let me just give you a quick update. We got to get this thing painted because it is time to move this monster tank up on top of this stand. So first, I think I need to shave. Oh, shave November is over, and I look like crap, so we'll clean that up. All right, let's get at it. Let's get rolling. All right, so we built the stand probably a couple weeks ago, and it is finally time to paint this thing up. But I think what I want to do first is pull off the plywood so that I can get to all the 2x4s up underneath, because I think that's going to be a lot easier than trying to reach up above my head. So that plywood's just sitting there right now. You can see I cut out the back for the supply lines, which are on the back of that 12-foot tank. So that area is prepped and ready to go, and the tank is literally sitting right here on the carts, waiting to be lifted up. So I just need to get all the stuff out the way. Probably going to set up the rigging above the stand because that thing is heavy. So we do have to come up with a contraption right here above it to lift it up and put it on, because there's no way we're going to get that many people around that tank to put it up on top of that stand. It's just too awkward and a bad position, and it's just not going to work out. First things first, let's go ahead and pull out the plywood. Let me show you what's going on there. And let's get painting. All right, the top is off. I just wanted you guys to see what this looks like up underneath. I'm going to paint all those 2x4s, obviously, because I don't want to be doing that, on the ground looking up and having that stuff drip all over me. But one thing I did notice when I was taking the level all the way down the line, this 2x4 right here actually had a crown on it. So you can see the sanders right there. I went ahead and knocked off this center section right here and dropped it down a little bit. So we're trying to make this obviously as straight as possible. I don't want nothing affecting anything on the bottom of that tank, even though we're still going to have a pad between the plywood and the bottom of it. So, but still, I didn't want a crown on that number 3 2x4. All right, so this area is ready. I'm going to go ahead and knock this out real quick, and then we'll move on to the next part. All right, guys, this is the next morning. As you can see, I got the top of this thing all painted up, and in between all the 2x4s, all the way down the line. And I caught up underneath also, so that portion's done also. So what I'm going to do this morning, we're going to knock out this back wall, because I couldn't get inside there yesterday. I can only reach out so far. We're going to knock out that section right there, and then I'm going to knock out the side and the front. I don't think I'm going to do anything on the inside, because I got to believe this is where I have to put up the plywood still, because that plywood is actually going to be part of the sump filtration system. But I think the goal right now is just to wrap up the painting, put on the plywood, and then prep to move the actual tank itself and get it in position, because the tank is in the way. Let me show you. If you see this 4-inch pipe right here, this used to be an old drain, came from the bathroom. We stepped it down a long time ago. You can see where it goes from 4-inch down to 2-inch, but at one time that 4-inch worked its way over to that 4-inch pipe coming through the floor, which used to be a toilet in a bathroom that we demoed out a couple of years ago. We stepped that down 2-inch because I want to work this way over, 2-inch over to here, and it might be kind of hard to tell, but up inside this I-beam, I'm going to try to zoom in right now, there's a 2-inch pipe. See it right there. That 2-inch pipe is coming from the closed loop system, and I have the ability to actually drain the 900 if in event something goes wrong down into this pipe. And we want to get this hooked up before I start pumping water upstairs, because if in event there's something wrong, which there could be, you never know, I want to be able to turn that valve quickly and drain the tank upstairs. But as you can see, I've got 300 gallons of water standing by. This is an RODI tank, and this is filled up and ready to be pumped upstairs, but I don't want to pump that up there until at least that one pipe is hooked up. All right, so it's been an hour or so, and you can see we've got more of the stand painted, looking better. Some areas I hit, some areas I did not, because I still have to add some stuff. But hey, we're definitely getting closer. And I think we're to the point now where I can go ahead and probably put the plywood back on, go ahead and screw that down, and start prepping for rigging the tank and landing it. So right before I go ahead and put the plywood on, I was thinking about this for a couple seconds. I'm going to go ahead and paint the edges of the 3/4 plywood, so just in case water were to be dripping, I don't want it to get down here and get, that plywood's just going to suck the water up, because it doesn't care. and then obviously that would swell up, so that's no good. So let me stop for a second, go ahead and knock out these edges, and then we'll go ahead and land it. All right, and just like that, everything's been painted up, and we're ready to land the plywood. You can see I've got it all sealed up, and it's been probably about 45 minutes, so it's dry. We're ready to go ahead and put it on top of the tabletop. A bit of extra insurance there. All right, so the plywood's on. You can see I've got it all locked down, and it's painted around the perimeter. So now the next big move is prepping for the rigging. I've already measured the tank. We're looking at roughly 38 inches. What does 38 inches mean? That is over here, top of the tank with the openings there. There are 4. I want the slings to be right there when I go to lift this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 2x4s. A pair of 10-footers already in here right now. We want these to be up on the ceiling. We're looking for 38 inches. So I'm going to do roughly about a 5-inch spread between the 2 boards right here so I can get the chain fall and the pipe up inside there. Make more sense here in a few seconds. All right, so it's been about 30 minutes, and as you can see, I've got the 2x4s up on the ceiling, and those things are screwed in at every joist. 2 screws for each one, and obviously these things are 16 inches apart from one another. So that thing is locked down. So that's how we normally move the bigger tanks, chain falls and slings, and I kind of came up with this goofy contraption a couple years back, and I thought, man, this should work out great by grabbing the floor joist above me. That's what I've always done. It seems to be working out pretty good. So, all right, so the next step now is probably getting the chain falls in position before the tank slides over, and we can go ahead and start prepping for that. All right, so it's been a while since I've seen this tank. Holy cow, man, I had so much crap on top of it and on the inside of it. And now that it's all cleaned off, it's like, oh wow, that's kind of a cool looking tank. So this is now clean and ready to go. So now the next step. So what I had to do is I had to actually push it forward to slide off these 2 pieces here. This is going to be part of the sump filtration system. Man, I tell you what, this thing is heavy. This is where all the filter socks are going to go, which you're going to see that in due time. Actually, I talked about that in the one video when I was building the stand last time. So if you guys want to check that out, you can see what this thing kind of looks like. Or, obviously, as time goes by, you're really going to see how this thing comes together. And also up underneath, I went ahead and threw the protein skimmers down there. The head unit's not on it yet, but there's the one. And over here is the other one. So I just have them out of the way for now while we're still setting up. Next step, go ahead and get the slings in position. All right, guys, we're getting a little bit closer. As you can see, I've got the chain falls up there in the ceiling, hanging. Those are wrapped around a 1-inch rigid steel pipe. So those are not going to go anywhere. So other than that, I just went ahead and did a little bit more painting on the top. The 3/4 plywood right there in the front needed to get its coat, kind of beefed up the back a little bit, because obviously once the tank goes on the stand, there's probably going to be a little bit, because the stand's 42.5 inches wide, right? And the tank is 36. So I didn't want to see that bare wood back there, so I went ahead and knocked that out real quick. But other than that, it looks like it's time to move the tank forward, kind of get it in position, and then throw the slings on it and start to look at this a little bit more closer and how we're going to do the flip. All right, I got the tank moved over and I put the slings on, but as you can tell right now, I'm probably going to have to do this in a couple of lifts. I need to raise this up, raise the tank up a little bit, slide the cart either to the right or to the left, because I want to get that sling right in line with that center bar right there, so that's definitely going to give me a lot more integrity. And then I've got the same issue over here. So let me go ahead and mess with this for a little bit. All right, so the slings have been moved, and I have my moderator over there, Sansa, the female Great Dane. She's kind of watching me as I'm doing this. So I went ahead and did a pick. I moved the carts over to the left and right. You can see it right there and way down there. And with that, I was capable of moving the slings to where I've got to go. But now the other problem is I don't have enough travel. I went ahead and measured from right here to the top where it kind of bottoms out, and I've got 31 inches of travel. That is not going to, it's not going to make it. I'm actually off by 11 inches. Bottom right here to clear the top of that stand, which is sitting at 48. So might have to do this in 2 lifts. So I'm trying to figure that part out right now, because I don't actually want to use a shorter sling, because if I tighten this up, triangle, by having a shorter sling, then obviously this angle gets tighter right here, which puts pressure on the tank. So where I'm positioned right now is actually pretty good. So I'm going to have to figure this out for a few seconds. The other option was to take the tank and literally flip it on its back where obviously it's going to be in the end. Well, I might have to look at that. But to do that, I'm going to need probably 4 guys to carefully lower this thing down. All right, I had to swing up to Home Depot real quick and grab 2 panels, 1/2 inch 4x8 of the insulation to go underneath the tank. And one thing that kind of caught my eye, I was hoping to get the blue. They don't sell the blue no more. So I had to get the pink. But I think we'll just take the paintbrush and paint this edge, so you'll never see it in the end. All right, let's go back to the house. All right, guys, so today's the big day. John and Chris will probably be here in about an hour, so I'm just doing my final prep. We have decided to go ahead and flip this thing on its butt. But to do that, I need to move these 2 20-gallon tanks over here on the left, kind of break that down. If you remember, that's where all the baby red belly piranhas were at. Those are all gone, so I can probably break that down. We're going to need that room, even though that's 8-9 inches right there. We're going to need that real estate. So I'm going to break that down real quick. But before we get rolling here, I got to show you this. So this stuff right here is called HT Glastrum. It's like a fiberglass resin mix, and these things are incredibly heavy. We're going to weigh them here in a second. A buddy of mine, Rick, works in a company here in our local area. These were some scrap pieces. He brought these over like 2 years ago, and they're 3x4 by 1 inch thick, and man, they are incredibly heavy. I used these in one of the other tanks underneath the tank. They worked out pretty good. I mean, these things are, I mean, not only are they strong, I mean, they're heavy, but we're going to put these on top here. Probably could have put them directly on the 2x4s, but I wanted to screw around the perimeter and kind of lock everything down like I did. So now it's like, well, I mean, I can't screw that down. So we're probably just going to go ahead and lay them on top. They're 1 inch thick. They're incredibly heavy. And then I'm going to probably put that foam top of that to give ourselves a little bit of protection, you know, from the tank itself to these guys right here. I mean, obviously these things are straight as an arrow. And man, they are incredibly heavy. I'm going to break out the scale here just in a second just to show you just how much these things weigh. But yeah, Rick brought these over. Appreciate that a lot. And we're going to finally put them to good use because I don't know what the heck to do with them because they're completely in the way. They've always been designed to go on top of this tank or stand, and that time obviously is here. So let's go ahead and knock that out. All right, so this area now is opened up. That's going to give us a lot more room. One of the things I wanted to point out real quick is look at this big pile of rocks that we got here. These were the rocks that we used about a year ago that came out of the 720, and they're standing by because I'll bring you over here. If you guys remember, or if you're new to the channel, maybe you've never seen this before, here's a 720-gallon aquarium. This one is 8 long, 4 foot tall, 3 feet front to back. And if you remember, the original tank broke, and we had to go out and obviously seek another one. And I tell you what, was blown away. Then a couple of my buddies reached out to me, and we found one on Facebook Marketplace, and there it is. So we did make a couple of videos on this guy. We actually went out to Butler, Pennsylvania. We did a couple of small repairs, removed the center island overflow, and we replaced it with a corner overflow box, which you see right there. And the only thing I've got to do right now is change the corner back there where the supply and return lines will now be entering. So I need to tweak that. The original tank, obviously, like I said, came through the center island overflow, and that's where the supply lines originally showed up. And obviously, you see a couple other holes there. That was for the closed loop. So we do have videos on this from the past. If you want to check that out, scroll back and take a look. But yeah, so there's a 720 standing by. That's going to be probably the next big lift put in position. But today, it's all about the 540. So let's go ahead and get this thing on its butt and get ready for the big lift. All right, because we are so limited of room, space within this little area, what I went ahead and did was I put down 4 2x4s, 10-footers. You can see them going right there on the floor. 2 right here, and there's 2 more over here. And then I put some moving blankets on top of them because we want to lay the tank down on the ground. But obviously we're going to put them on they're going to be held up with the 2x4s and the moving blankets. We don't want to hurt the front of that tank. So let's go ahead and put a lift on the tank, pull out the carts, and then kind of roll this more towards the left. All right, so the tank is lifted up, and you can see we are floating in the air. So we'll go ahead and walk that a little bit more to the left and start dropping it down. All right, guys, Chris is here. Lift this thing up. Tell me what you think that thing weighs. Don't hurt yourself. What's the guess?
I want to say about 110 pounds, and it's very sharp.
All right, let's put it on the scale. You want me to do it? You got it.
I
It's right
can't-
there.
I can't move it.
Here, take the phone. Take the camera. Let's see what's down there. Oh, I think it's, I'm gonna go 125. Oh crap, seriously? Oh, I win, 127. Wow, those are heavy. Ah. Dude, I've never weighed it one. All right, so we're gonna film this in segments. You can see we moved it over to the left. Now we're getting ready to, hopefully, put it right on its butt. end of it. Flush in the front.
What I'm shooting for.
Well, the big thing is the pad, right? Is the pad perfect?
Right now.
Yeah.
And we still got to lift the tank up. Chris, do me a favor.
That actually
Go on
looks.
the back. Look at it. All right, guys, we did it. Man, I tell you what, that took about 2.5 hours. But we finally got this monster 540-gallon aquarium up on its stand. 12 foot long, 3 foot front to back, and 2 foot tall. And as you can tell, this thing is filthy. I just did a quick sample right here, kind of cleaned up this area, and you can see where it really looks good. So that universal rock is on the back wall. This is going to be a saltwater tank, so I'm a little hesitant on that one. I'm not for sure we're going to leave that on there or pull it off. Maybe, I don't know, you guys give me your 2 cents in the comments what you think about that. Should we pull it off or not? You can see the overflow box in the back. That thing is a monster. That's probably pushing 48 to 50 some inches in length. Kind of hard to tell because of the filth. But so the first thing now is just go ahead and clean up this entire area because we definitely made for disaster. And then I'm going to probably get inside here and clean up the acrylic, give it a good full wash down. And then from there, probably going to start prepping on the filtration system. You can see I threw the protein skimmers up underneath and the sump is over there on the right. Everything just kind of temporary sitting there. So there's definitely going to be a lot of work in that area. So all right, well, tell you what, that's it. Let's wrap up this video. Appreciate you guys watching and following along. Hit that subscribe button if you're bored and you want to see more of our unique videos. Until then, time to jump on the next part. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.